Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into a really fascinating cultural artifact. It's a 2007 dating playbook that promised to teach men the secret language of attraction. So the whole book, Undercover Sex Signals, is really built around this one single provocative question. It starts with the idea that there's this entire world of communication happening right under our noses, but that, well, most guys are just totally oblivious to it. And the author, Layla Lones, she doesn't pull any punches. Right at the start, she hits you with this jaw-dropping statistic from a study. Get this, 30 out of every 31 men, 30 completely failed to notice when a woman is showing interest. I mean, that's a 97% failure rate. If that's even close to true, it means most men are just flying blind out there. So this pretty startling idea is what led Lowndes to map out this hidden world she calls undercover sex signals, or as she calls them, USSs for short. It's basically a secret nonverbal language that she argues is used almost exclusively by women. Here's the core idea, right? Men are often just waiting for a green light, for someone to literally say, hey, I'm interested. But this book says, nope, that's not how it works. Women are sending signals all the time, not with words, but with their body, their gestures, their eyes. And this playbook, well, it positions itself as the Rosetta Stone you need to translate all these secret messages. But okay, before we get to the signals themselves, the book tries to lay some, scientific groundwork. It introduces a couple of key concepts to explain why these signals are supposed to work the way they do. First up, we've got this chemical, phenylethylamine, or PEA. The author basically calls it nature's love drug. You know that feeling, that racing heart, the sweaty palms, that kind of tingly excitement you get in that first big rush of a crush? That's PEA. And the book argues that a lot of these attraction signals are designed to either trigger or respond to that exact chemical high. The other really big idea is something called the love map. The term itself is coined by sexologist John Money, and it's basically your personal, subconscious blueprint of what you find attractive. The book claims this map gets drawn in your childhood, and it's what dictates, on a really deep instinctual level, who, pushes your buttons. So attraction isn't just random chance. It's about finding someone who fits your pre-existing map. All right, so with that science in mind, what are some of these covert signals that apparently almost all men are missing? The book is packed with them, dozens actually, and each one has its own very specific meaning. Okay, here's a classic example from the book, The Peekaboo. This is when a woman might kind of playfully hide her face, maybe looking at you over a menu or through her fingers. The book says this isn't just her being shy. No, it's a calculated move, something straight out of ancient flirting rituals, and it's all about building anticipation and making you curious. Now, this next one is really interesting. It's called the weather vane palm. The argument here is that when a woman gestures, the direction her palm is facing is this huge subconscious clue. So if her palm is facing you when she's talking or just resting her hand, the book says that's a signal of openness, of acceptance. It's a message that says she likes what she sees and is receptive to you. And of course, there's a flip side. The book presents this as a super clear black and white choice. Palm forward, that means I accept you, it's an open door. But if she turns her hand so the knuckles are facing you, that's a barrier. That's a nonverbal beat it. It really shows the whole philosophy of the book, right? That all this communication is just a set of mechanical on-off switches that you just have to learn to read. Another really powerful signal the book talks about is mirroring, which it calls the copycat. And honestly, this is a concept that you see in modern psychology and communication studies too. The whole idea is that when we feel a connection with somebody, we subconsciously start to copy them. So if you lean forward and she leans forward a second later, or you pick up your drink and suddenly she's reaching for hers, the book says that's a huge sign. It means she feels totally in sync with you and she wants to build that connection. Okay, so you've spotted a signal. You think you saw one. Now what? Well, the book doesn't just leave you hanging. It gives you a super structured 5-step method for how to make your approach, one that it actually claims is rejection-proof. And it's presented like this carefully choreographed dance. You don't just, walk over. First, just turn your head. If she responds well, then you turn your torso. Then you turn your whole body. Next, you lean in a bit. And the final step, you synchronize your movements with hers, basically becoming her mirror. Each step is like a little test, and you only move to the next one if she goes with you. And the stakes for getting this little nonverbal dance right, they're presented as being incredibly high. The book uses researchers like Dr. Timothy Perper to say that this initial foreplay to the meeting, that's everything. If you mess up the sequence, you're out, you're done. But if you nail it, success is pretty much guaranteed. So what's the big takeaway from Undercover Sex Signals? What's the point of it all? Well, it boils down to this one central argument, that attraction and dating, they aren't just these chaotic, random forces. Instead, they're a game with very specific rules and patterns that you can actually learn and master. Ultimately, this whole playbook is saying that anyone can be successful at dating if they just become a sexual sleuth, an expert at decoding the secret language and then making all the right counter moves. It completely reframes romance not as some kind of magic, but as a system that can be understood and navigated with skill. And that kind of leaves us with a final question, doesn't it? Is a system like this, with all its rigid rules and signals, is that a genuinely helpful guide for understanding human connection, or is it more of a cultural snapshot, something that tells us more about the dating anxieties and ideals of that specific time? It really makes you think about how we all communicate, back then and right now.